So, welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. I am your host, Shane. Tonight's guest and tonight's topic is going to be a great and awesome one. So, first, let's clean up house. Let's get the commercials out of the way. So, here we have Empire Cleaning Service, and yes, we do service from Florida to NYC, those two states. And if you're looking for someone to assist with your cleaning needs, whether it's residential or home or commercial needs, please give us a call. It is at this number up here, 347-838-1411, also 917-914-5214. Thank you so very much. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. So I want to do a mic check. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So yes, we can hear clearly. So tonight, episode, we have been broadcasting this for some time, I think for about an entire week, but this topic that we're going into discussion did not just start. We actually started this a couple of months back under my charity. And we're just going to go ahead and bring it to you guys on this evening. So thank you again for tuning in to Coffee Talk. I'm just going to turn my mic down so we will not echo. Make sure we share the screen. We are now live. We are live. Okay. Give us 1 second. We're just getting the screen together. Okay, so as I said before, thank you for tuning in to another episode with your host Shane. It's a nice episode, which will be a 4-part series. Just want to make sure I tag her. And okay, so tonight's episode is a 4-part series. Tonight we are coming to you live from the studio again. Thank you all for chiming in. And we had a little introduction and we did our commercial. So again, you have seen the flyers all over the internet. I've been doing my thing for as advertised, if I must say so myself. So tonight's discussion, we are discussing, the topic is recovery studies. Now, before we start, let me put up my disclaimer. I am not a legal counselor, psychiatrist, or therapist. I am here to give advice for entertainment purposes. And off the screen, if you do need to contact me, we do have business lines 347-838-1411. You can call in and you can be anonymous. We are taking donations and we're taking support. If you like, please share, subscribe. This will be uploaded. If you miss a live, it's okay because it will be uploaded to my YouTube. I ask that all in the chat. Please subscribe to my channel. Emerald Empire Inc. is on YouTube. The link is in my bio as well as in the chat. Please do so when you have time. So tonight's study, we're talking about recovery studies. And bringing it forth is none other. I'm going to give her titles. Evangelist Winfield. Some of y'all know her as Gean. Some of y'all know her as Gean Winfield or Gean W. or Gean Simmons. But she's coming forth tonight and we have some questions and answers. And we are not going to prolong you any longer. I'm going to let her give y'all a brief description of who she is. So I'm going to open up the floor and pass it off to her, the mic.
Good evening, everyone. I don't even know what to say behind that. I was given specific instructions on what to say, etiquettes. But first, my disclaimer is that we do not discuss any anonymous groups. We are not trying to endorse So we will not be specifically naming any type of anonymous groups for us 12-step program. That's my disclaimer. So my name is Gean. I'm a grateful recovering addict. Um, and I am a retired substance abuse counselor for 22 and a half years. I am now an entrepreneur. I have my own small business, Gean Hands of Healing, which is handcrafted herbal teas and handcrafted food seasonings. I live down here. I'm from New York. I live in Lakeland, Florida. I've been down here for 4 years, 4.5 years now. And I was asked to do this topic to discuss um, addiction. Addiction, what does addiction does? What's the damage to it? Will it do to an individual? How does it impact the family? I am a professional, but I am a retired professional. I had my CASAC-T. I had my SERPA certification, which is Certified Peer Recovery Advocate. I am a mental health first aider. I'm certified in mental health as well. I've worked in numerous treatment programs from the homeless shelter / TC to outpatient services. I've done inpatient services as well outside of the shelter. I worked in the prison system. I worked with juvenile delinquents as well under the substance abuse umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just stopped, so I didn't know which way you was going, but okay.
So yes, I wore many hats in the field. Yes.
Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get into these questions, and we pray that we touch someone or someone who seeks any type of assistance as far as counseling with substance abuse, that you're more than welcome to reach out to us. Our information is definitely in the chat, and you can go ahead and chime on and send your questions. So the first question that we have tonight, I want you to relax. So I thank the audience again for chiming on. And again, if you happen to miss this Coffee Talk podcast for tonight, you can go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Emerald Empire Productions. It is on YouTube, so you'll be able to see the whole discussion on tonight. So the first question we have for you, we're talking about substance abuse, correct? So could you give me a little definition of what exactly substance abuse in your own words? Again, we are not licensed counselors, therapists, and psychiatrists, but in your own words, from your own knowledge, can you give us a brief description of what substance abuse is?
Substance abuse is it's a controlled substance, anything that's mind mood altering chemical that will alter a person's mind, state of mind for a satisfying feeling. So we talking about marijuana, alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, it's not separate. We talking pills, we talking opiates, anything that's mind mood altering is a substance.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say substance abuse, a person will use those to the point where they become out of control. The drugs, the substance takes them totally out of control of their life, where their life is centered around the substance getting any means necessary all day long, 24/7. It's all about the substance. So the abuse kicks in because at a certain point, once you cross that visible line, you get to the point where you become dependent on this substance, whatever that substance might be.
Mm.
And your life is just centered around using this substance.
Mm.
And from the point of using that substance, now your life becomes out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So jobs, children, family, education, everything is just basically thrown down wasted away because you're more focused on your using than you are of becoming of being a productive member of society. So you have people that have this cliche saying that I was a functional addict. In my dictionary, there's no such thing as a functional addict
Mm-hmm.
because you can't do two different things at one time. So you're saying that, oh, I might be able to show up to work on time. I might be able to stay at that job from 9 to 5 all day long, but how productive were you? Or it could have been a situation, well, I fed my kids, I paid my bills, I had a roof over my head. But in the same note, mentally, was you focused on the 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 how can I say, the interior of the family and the household? So
Mm-hmm.
drugs, the substance abuse would take your focus to a place where did you? Oh, the camera just dropped up. To a place where subconsciously you're thinking that you're functional, but outside things are just falling down around
Which led to my next question, because you're explaining the dangers of substance abuse. You said that it could cause damage in your household,
you.
your job,
Yes.
your all around everyday living. It could cause any dangers. Thank you again for those that are chiming on. Again, this is Coffee Talk Weekly Discussion. Tonight's topic is recovery studies. Okay, so another question that I do have is you spoke about mental health. Do you think mental health starts addiction, or do you think mental health is it's a form of addiction, or can form into addiction?
There's always been controversies about mental health and substance abuse. Some theories say that the mental health led to the substance abuse because of the inability to maintain your mental health and to calm the individual as far as whatever the diagnosis, they will go to the substance to to cope with the symptoms of the mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what the diagnosis has changed because I've been out the field for what 5 years, 4 years now. 4 years I've been out the field now. I know they changed a lot of the diagnostic codes. They increased the DSM-4 to DSM-5,
Mm-hmm.
where they're starting to see more impact from the mental health towards mental health individuals
To
and
substance.
substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can't say what will lead do one lead to the other because you don't have to have a mental health disorder to have a substance abuse issue.
Mm. That's what I wanted to explain because
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to have a mental health disorder to be a substance abuse, but do a mental health disorder enhance substance abuse? Yes, it does.
Mm. Now, what do you think starts addiction? You don't
Oh,
have to dive right in depth with it because this is again 4-part series. What do you think starts addiction?
I
Give
don't.
us like at least 3 examples because it's so many avenues that can cause addiction.
Oh, addiction is different. Is a difference between the substance abuse and then when you get into the addiction. Um, the addiction from substance abuse, it starts from liking what you use, getting that sensation and chasing that feeling, and that's when addiction kicks off to the races. What starts it? The gateway drugs. Alcohol is a gateway drug. Marijuana is a gateway drug. There's always been the theories that those was the major gateway drugs, but now it's like, from my experience, even from when I left my employment in 18, those wasn't really the gateway. They was going straight to opiates, um the Oxycontin painkillers. you know so what was started is that sensation. I'm gonna say that feeling of loving that feeling. Also peer pressure, people,
Mm-hmm.
places, and things,
Mm-hmm.
that plays a major part. Low self-esteem plays a major part in becoming addicted. um loneliness, not knowing who you are, um, childhood trauma, um, whatever crisis that you might experience in your life will cause a person to use substances that if they don't allow themselves to come out of it, it will become an addiction.
Mm. So now that let's just move forward to 2023. Okay. We see that just like you just mentioned, the different mental health codes, mental health diagnosis has changed severely, right? And me being in the mental health field, medical field for 20 years, I see the drastic change. But one thing I want you to expound on is the time frame far as age. It's no longer I want to say 18. I'm going to give it that 18. There are more children coming in younger than that might overdose on a lot of things. Like, can you expound to the audience about that?
Well, that just didn't start in 2023. That's been going on for years. The last program that I worked at, I was at that program. I would have made 10 years if I hadn't
Hmm.
left in that October. That was my last place of employment. And at that employment, we had the children's program, children's facility, and it was as young as I want to say 12, 8. Um, so this has been going on even when I worked in the juvenile delinquent facility for young ladies. The age range age from the age of 8 all the way up to the age of 24
Mhm.
for that particular
I've
criteria.
seen even
Uh,
5. I've seen 5.
so so it 2023 is not where it started. Children has been using for a long time, and it started from stealing grandma's pills or stealing mommy and daddy's pills, or again, it could have been peer pressure. During the time when I first was exposed to more of the adolescents, it was more of a peer pressure, the school surroundings, want to be accepted, low self-esteem, like I said earlier, loneliness, it's a lot of leading factors for the children. So that's why it's very important as parents that we talk to our children and we open their minds up to what society is doing. Bullying is a part of what will isolate a child to start using substance to cope.
Mhm.
It's different factors that will lead up to substance use. So it's not so much like you said, like in my days it was, yeah, well, I was young, and I can attest to being a young person using at the age of 13. And why was I doing that? Because I low self-esteem, and I was searching for something that I had lost, and I was trying to replace it. And in the interim of me trying to replace that person, that entity, it opened up doors where I didn't know what I was doing, and I just wanted to be a part of. So I did what I did as if, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So um it's all on the household dynamics plays a major part. Household dynamics, parenting plays a major part. You can't say, well, the parent knew better. If the parent knew better, the parent would have did better. Far as like communications, and in my days we didn't have that communication like I did with Char. And as everybody don't know, this is my daughter. Tried to communicate to the best of my ability about the dangers of substance use, also with the dangers of peer pressure. A lot of times I used to see kids around yard, and I'm like, I don't want you with that person.
Mhm.
I was able to see straight through the person's intentions wasn't the best intentions. So it's little things like that as a parent we have to pay attention to. But at the end of the day, we still have no control once that child walk out that door. So um this is going to be an ongoing
Battle.
transition. just reading the news. I had a feeling when I read the article the other day that the actor Robert De Niro, 19-year-old son, died impulsively. And I said, watch they say fentanyl. And sure
I
enough, they
think Travis, what is his name? What's his comedian name? He just lost his son, and we found out
yeah,
late.
Travis Smiley. That was a couple of months ago. Travis Smiley.
His son
Both of them
overdosed.
basically was an overdose because it was laced with fentanyl. Today's society, I'm not saying which is better, which is worse. Drug is a drug. There's no better drug. There's no worse drug. But what they're putting on the streets right now is really very lethal to our youth and our adults. Very lethal because fentanyl is not meant, none of them is meant for being a street drug to be. Let me be clear on that. That's my disclaimer. However, fentanyl is a highly toxic medication that needs to be managed under the proper authorization as far as a physician. You know what I'm saying? So um putting it on the drug, putting it inside the drugs to get a better cell or to get more potency of the drug, that's deadly. So and I had a feeling, like I said, the article just came out a couple of hours ago that it was fentanyl that it was pills laced with fentanyl. Pills. I don't know what pills was laced with fentanyl. So like I said, there's no good way and there's no bad way. It's just basically learning how to, if you're there, learning how to get clean, learning to use your resources. There's a lot of programs versus when I first came around. There was no programs when I first came around. There was waiting lists. There was lists that you had to wait 7 to 8 months to get into rehab. Resources has came up tremendously, and I'm gonna say since I've been in the field and since I've been in my recovery process. There's resources out there, but the person got to want it. So you can tell a person, well, I think you need to go to rehab. I don't think that person will realize they need to go to a rehab until they hit their bottom and realize they need to go to a rehab.
Now, can you give the audience some examples of, I don't know the names of all the drugs, give them an example of at least 3 or 5 drugs that you know that is out there in the market that's just like killing.
Well, you got your opioids. You got your opioids. You got your opioids, which is painkillers. You got Vicodin, Percocet, Dilacolin. I'm just going because I'm getting a block, but there's a lot of medical medication that they use. That's the medical. Then you got your heroin. All right. Then you got your marijuana. Then you got your the alcohol. Like I said, we're not going to omit alcohol because alcohol is a drug. Reason why people's in so much denial about alcohol because it's legal and it's always been legal. The first fellowship that was created was from alcohol. First 12-step program was from alcohol. And then the narcotics jumped on and made theirs piggybacking off of the alcohol program, 12-step program. So alcohol is a drug. Like I said, a lot of people's in denial for that. Now, this marijuana that they got out here now, so now you got the medical marijuana. And I don't even know what the street marijuana would even look like, to be honest with you. Then they have the bath salt. Bath salt is another lethal one. And there's another one. It'll come to me that the kids was using, and I can't think of it because it was something that took place back in 2017 in the Bronx where a child died from using it. And oh God, it's like potpourri. It was like a potpourri. They were smoking a potpourri. I can't remember the name of it. However, those are some of the drugs, but the main ones is the marijuana, the alcohol, and the opiates. And you got your heroin, you got your PCP. Let's not forget your PCP. That's another drug that the street called it dust. Back in our day, we used to call it dust, but it's called PCP. Those are the major ones that's on the streets right now. And then you got your meth,
Yeah, that's
methamphetamine. You
that's a
got
bit.
crack. You got cocaine. I was getting a brain freeze. I had to.
Take your time. And those of y'all that are
Like,
chiming
no,
on, thank you
I'm
for
trying to think. I'm just
chiming
like,
on.
let's not forget the crack. Let's not get the meth. Forget the meth. Let's not forget the cocaine. Now you know cocaine used to be that was like the party drug back in
Mm.
the day. That was the party
Still
drug.
is.
All the celebrities were snorting cocaine. You know, that was the cool thing to do back in the,
Still is.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, decades ago. You know, Richard Pryor is the main one. They was like he blew up. He was freebasing and he blew up. You know, um, that's how he got burnt from freebasing. So that's been around for a long time. This
Mm-hmm.
stuff has been around for a long time to celebrities, you know, using it. It just got more sophisticated as time came. As time
Okay.
progressed, it's got more sophisticated.
Now, being in a workplace, in a work time type setting, and thank you all again for chiming on. This is Coffee Talk. Welcome to the Recovery Studies. Okay, tonight is the first episode that we're launching, and we're bringing forth the backdrop and the back studies of substance abuse. We're not here to discredit or point anyone out, but we're here to shed some light on this issue that is going on across broad. Okay, so just lost my train of thought. But when it comes down to, I just caught a brain freeze. When it comes down to mental health and the way that everything is going on in the world, do you think that people use substance abuse in whatever form it is? Also, gambling is also could be centered under that as an outlet instead of dealing with day to day issues.
It's an outlet. This is a scapegoat. I'm gonna use it as a scapegoat. You know, they do use it as an excuse because why they use it as an excuse because at deep down they I'm not going to say this is one person, I'm just going to go by my experience. People's become dependent and become comfortable with the uncomfortability,
That's what it was. It becomes comfortable. Hmm.
so they know their life is damaged and it's out of control. However, because of the dependency of
Hmm.
the substance, they ignore the outside and just want to continue feeding what they need to feed for themselves.
Now,
So I can
long
say
haul.
I suffer from bipolar, or like I always say, I got OCD. So if I'm using substance for my OCD, I would say, well, I'm fine. This is keeping me calm and it's keeping me still versus me following up with a professional to get me off the substance because
Hmm.
I'm going to do what's comfortable for me, not do the uncomfortability because people's just going to do what they're comfortable with doing.
See, one of the things I noticed at I can't say pinpoint a specific demographic because back in the day they used to have the commercials and that these things was bought entirely.
Integrating drugs and they show the
Yeah, but it's
uh,
a
putting
wide
up a
variety.
person nose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wide variety now of young and old in the hospitals now. Going to rehab and trying to walk again, trying to feel their limbs again because of either overdose or mixing and mingling some stuff that they had no business mixing and mingling. What advice can you give to those that want to seek help but really don't know which way to go?
The resources is out there. There's plenty of resources. There used to be a time where they used to have commercials on all the time about
Mhm.
different programs and help and like because the screen went dead. There used to be a lot, but there's a lot of hotlines that's out there that you can
Mhm.
call that will help you. You know, the internet has more information than any building will have to help you get to seek the resources that you need to seek help. But you gotta want it. If you don't want to get help, then it's nothing that's going to work for you. You're going to find yourself going in a revolving door and asking yourself why, because you're not ready to surrender. One of the things that, you don't have to hit a bottom to surrender, but your life experience alone under the control of substances and the grips of your addiction should manifest itself till you want to get help.
Mm-hmm.
They say jails, institutions, and death. That's what I was taught. Jails, institutions, and death. You know, um, it don't have to be to that extreme. It could be a certain situation that will wake you up and say, "Listen, if I keep doing this, then I'm going to see this happening." Um, but there are resources. Like I said, I don't want to, as a disclaimer, I don't want to break nothing because I don't want to get no trouble on the internet.
No,
Uh,
we trying to tread like we're gonna go more in deep in depth each
Yeah,
episode,
so
but
I
we
don't
just
want to name no names or anything like that because I don't want to get in trouble. That's why I never even mentioned none of my past employments. However, I've been with some prestige companies that's in the substance abuse field that's still up and running to this day. They've had longevity of services for people that seeking and need help, from the youngest to the oldest.
okay. So we're going to I don't see anyone on for any live Q&A. Do you see anybody on for Q&A? This is a touchy topic, but we're going to nonetheless bring forth. Do you have any advice as we're going to close out? Any advice? So we're going to dive deep in the next 3 episodes. Just going to get deeper and deeper. And do you have any advice for those that are watching right now that know someone near and dear? And, because I was always taught, you've always taught us that someone first has to acknowledge that they have a problem before you could even begin to help, because you can bring them to wherever they need to go. But if they don't feel like they have a problem, then, it's like redundant. It's nothing that's going to take place. Do you have any advice for those young children, teenagers, young adults, older adults they may have someone that they're around that's dealing with substance and dealing with substance abuse themselves, or they want to seek counseling? Those that are in marriages, they want to send their spouse there. They've tried all they try, but they cannot. Do you have any advice for those in the audience right now?
Well, I can say for the ones that's dealing with family members, there are programs for them as well. And I don't know if I can say it, but I'm gonna take a risk and I'm gonna say it's called Al-Anon. Al-Anon is a program that's been around for a long time, and it's for the family members of the peoples that's on drugs. So they have their own support group as well. So I can say that for the family member. But far as trying to get a loved one and caught up in the grips to try to get them, again, if they don't want it, it's nothing going to work. So basically, I can tell that person that's dealing with a person that has substance, protect their own, put their own armor on, because either you're going to ride it out, but just understand when you're riding it out, it's going to be a rough road if you choose to ride it out. I have seen people successfully stick by their mates, and when they went through their active addiction and one mate was using and one mate wasn't, get you a support system if you choose not to leave that individual. But if it's of a dangerous situation, I'm not going to say stay in a dangerous situation, because that's what they told me. They told me if I was in a dangerous situation, that I needed to remove myself. Thank God that wasn't my story where I had to worry about being, trying to get clean and have somebody that was using in my life, and it was so close. So I thank God I didn't have to do that. But that was what the suggestion that was given to me. If my life is in danger, to remove myself. And I'm saying that to an individual. Other than that, you can try to the best of your ability to give them the resources. But again, if the person is not ready to surrender, there's nothing you basically can do about it, because this is a selfless process. It's a selfless and a selfish process. Just like they say, addiction is selfish. Um, the person has to be selfless and selfish at the same time in order to seek help for themselves. You can just that's like taking a horse to the water. If he don't want to drink, he's not going to drink it. But I will say, if it's a dangerous situation for you and your children, to please remove yourself and go somewhere safely. maybe that will be an indicator to that person. Like, listen, my family didn't left me now. I need to get my act together. I didn't did this to my family. I didn't did this to that to my family. Maybe that could be a wake up call. But overall, again, a person has to want their recovery. You know, I had to want my recovery. My family couldn't do nothing for me. I had to want to change my life. And I always knew that wasn't my life anyway. I always knew when I was using, I was perpetrating fraud. Let me be real about it.
Well, at least you're honest, you
I
know.
was that wasn't really me, you know, because
Yeah.
I just wanted to be a part of something. And if
Right.
being a part of something, I got caught up in the catch-22. So I always knew that I didn't belong in that process. So that, you know, when all of my bottoms kept coming towards me, it was no brainer to just say, you know what, I think I need to get myself back on
Yeah.
track. You know, so and that's what I did. But once the family kept telling me what they think I should have done or what they think I should have did and what and how I should do it, and all of those suggestions did not work. So I had to go outside of the norm of the family umbrella to seek the help that I need, because long as I kept listening to them and trying to do what they thought I should do, what they told me I should be doing, I kept failing.
Mm.
I kept failing, and I could understand why I kept failing. But then once I really started my road to recovery, I understood because they didn't know no better. See, I had to get around people that was like me that can identify with what I was going through, with those crazy thoughts that were coming in our head, you know, of wanting to use or the rationalization and the justification of the most outrageous nonsense that was like you always talking about the people in the committee.
Yes.
Yes, you know, and I had to get around people that understood those voices that was in my head because they had the same voices. So we was able to talk about that, and we was able to build on our shortcomings to help our road of recovery. You know, so but you got to get around people that's wanting and doing the same thing you're doing.
Yep.
An addict alone is an addict alone is in bad company. You cannot do this alone. You have to get
You have I
you
like
have to
the other
get
stuff
the
to say.
right
I try.
support.
Yeah. Yeah.
The right support is very essential and important for your recovery process. See, I can't go to church and speak to my pastor and tell my pastor about my urges because they're going to tell me to pray. Not to say praying is not the right thing to do, but they don't have no identification on what a urge really is. You know, that's why a lot of people are silenced and suffer in the church because of the addiction, because they're doing all the right things and they're following everything that the pastor is telling them and they're praying and everything, but they find themselves continuously falling short, reverting back to where they used to be. You know, but that's because that support is not there for them. So I thank God that I was able to go to church and I was able to go to my fellowship, and now my fellowship helped me. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not a religion, but it's highly spiritual. However, I think the between the both of those was the help and the support that I need to get to where I'm at right now. But for me, it's trying to walk in the church and put something down for me. I need to say for me. And I know there's other countless people that I have encountered. I'm not going to say for the next person, because some person could just walk into church and put everything down and they'd be okay.
Yeah. Some people need
And I'm
more.
not going to discredit that. They do prayer and fellowshipping in the church and minister and getting with their minister, whatever the case may be. Don't get me wrong, that does work. But I
Right.
know there are countless millions of people that could not do it that way.
Right. Right.
Okay. And for me, when I got clean growing up in the church, I didn't go back to church right away. I didn't go back to straight to church. I went and got a foundation and got some stability in my self-help group. And that self-help group got me back to the religion.
It's a journey.
There's a difference.
There's a
religion
journey.
Spirituality. So it got me back to my religion at that time. But I took a couple of years of staying in a fellowship alone to establish that spirituality that they talked about from a power greater than myself. So, you know, we talk about the ministry, the different gods, the different sectors, and the different domination. What I'm saying, it domination, right?
Denominations,
and how they practice their religion, and that chased a lot of people closer to their addiction as well. They wasn't getting that spiritual connection. So I thank God for the fellowship on how they gave me a conscious contact. And they kept it real simple for I can learn how to pray again. I can learn how to get a conscious contact and communicate with a God of my understanding. Not the God of that pastor understanding, not the God of my mother's understanding, but the God of my understanding. So that helped me get to where I needed to go. And again, as you know, we was all raised in the church. It got us back into church. But a lot of religions takes people away from staying clean because of the dogma of what a God would do for them because they was using drugs. That's another factor too.
We're going to stop right there. We're going to dive deeper right there because I ran over last time and we don't want no issues. So we thank all of y'all that did come on. She's going to put her information in the chat. But remember where she left off at. We're going to dive deep next episode, which will air. We're going on next week, Wednesday. This is a 4-part series. If you have any questions, please hit us up in Messenger. Email us at emeraldempire330@gmail.com. And you have Gean Wynn. Her information is in the chat. I believe it just was posted. And so we gave you the backdrop on tonight. So stay tuned for the next episodes. I am your host, Shane. And again, we came tonight and she was the facilitator. I was just
I wasn't
student. You were supposed to be the facilitator.
I wasn't the facilitator.
Are you crazy? Okay. But nevertheless, Gean Hands Are Healing. She's located in Lakeland, Florida. If you're looking for any herbs that can help you with asthma, allergy, seasonings, you name it, you can go ahead and contact her and via Facebook, email, and we'll get right back to you on next week's episode. Thank you again. This is Coffee Talk. And so, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.